It's always funny the way that things can kind of change from one day to the next. When it comes to the PlayStation 5, you had Digital Foundry maybe saying one thing like, well, all their target games on the PlayStation 5 seem to be 30 frames per second, with the exception of Demon's Souls, and how that kind of flipped around now, and Sony very much proved them wrong. That's not really a knock on Digital Foundry. I mean, Digital Foundry is only doing their thing as, tech analysis and things like that. It was maybe a little bit premature to speculate on what the developers had in mind. Obviously, those developers all had multiple modes in mind and things like that. With that being said, Digital Foundry seems to be right on the money, breaking down the PlayStation 5 Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War trailer, which I thought was pretty interesting to say the least. And I have to say, it was very interesting because I just felt like they really kind of nailed exactly what I've been trying to say, and they're much more smarter than me. And so the fact that they're saying this stuff means that, it does lead a little bit of credence to it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel, and it means a lot to me personally. Again, if you're looking to help out a small channel like myself, you can always just hit the like button. You can share it out, hit the bell so you're notified of everything as soon as it drops. That would be incredible and much appreciated as well. With that being said, again, I really do appreciate everybody, all the old subscribers, new subscribers, everybody in between. We've seen some tremendous channel growth. We've seen a lot of just people and friends and things like that. I thank you so much for that, because I've been loving the interactions. I've gotten so many more friends on PlayStation lately who send me messages. If you watch my content and you've sent me messages lately, I appreciate you. If you sent me messages on Xbox, I appreciate you. Whatever, if you sent me messages on Twitter, I appreciate you. I'm just saying, I've spent a lot of time responding and replying to messages over the last weeks, and it's been great. I installed the PlayStation app on my phone so I can respond more easily to people that send me messages. And so a lot of people are like, cool, man, I can't believe you responded. If you take the time to message me, I take the time to respond. So everything I do here is unscripted. It's off the cuff. I'm learning as I go as well, so hopefully you guys bear with me with that. When it comes to the PlayStation 5, I'm very excited, okay? There's no need to sugarcoat it. There's no need to hide it. I want to be able to order this thing. I want to be able to have a date when I can bring this home and play it and things like that. I've got money set aside for it. A lot of people know me as a guy who's been more of an Xbox fan. I'm still an Xbox fan. I want Xbox to do well. I just think that they weren't ready for this generation, despite the fact that, they pretty much gave up months and months and years ago. They just don't seem ready. I don't think they care either. That's the big point as well. Like, they absolutely seem like they do not care that they're not ready for next generation. But Sony appears to be, even with the way the world right now is going, and the issues surrounding certain production things and things like that, it looks like they're more than ready. And they've announced games. They've said, hey, we're going to double down on our exclusives, and we're going to do all this kind of stuff. And I really find that to be pretty much reassuring as a console fan and a future console owner of the PlayStation 5. That gets me very excited. Sure, I'm a little bit bummed out that I'm not able to pre-order this thing right now, but at the end of the day, when you look at PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X, a lot of people think that it's these two, David versus Goliath situation. To be honest with you, it's Goliath versus Goliath, okay? You have a very powerful, very capable Xbox Series X. You have a very powerful, very capable PlayStation 5. They're sort of built the same, but they're also built somewhat differently, but they're the closest in power of any two consoles between Xbox and PlayStation that have ever launched together. So when you think about Xbox and PS2, Xbox 360 and PS3, you think about PS4 and Xbox One, or PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, this is the closest they've ever been. So think about that for a second. I mean, it's really tremendous when you think about it and how close things are going to be, and could be one of the reasons why we haven't seen anything new running off the Xbox Series X. But with that being said, we did get a trailer for the new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and Digital Foundry broke it down and was talking about it, because there was an article, and I did a video that sort of covered this, that basically says that the game is going to be hardware-based ray tracing. It's going to feature 4K resolution, 60 frames up to 120 frames, and that would be what they'd be going for with the next generation versions. And the thing is Digital Foundry is talking about this, and they're like, well, like even modern PCs couldn't really do all of that. So they're kind of speculating a bit, but they're saying, how powerful these things really are and how well developed they really are for them. Again, people have to keep in mind when it comes to consoles, these are closed boxes, folks. These are boxes that are closed and they're not having to run all the stuff in the background that PCs are running. So I think it's easier to optimize, and I've seen developers and heard developers say that, and I feel like that's something that they probably don't get enough credit for. It's like, honestly, they do a fantastic job with this stuff. The PlayStation 5 in and of itself is a very, very, very powerful console. So they're also talking about some interesting things as well, saying, well, they talk about interlacing and the way that they can upscale and things like that. And I felt like that was a very poignant conversation, because they say that like the temporal reconstruction and things like that wasn't there. There was no such thing as that before or at the beginning of this generation with the Xbox One and the PS4. So that's something that they just kind of came out this generation, and it's been used very, very efficiently and very well. So they're saying, well, perhaps that's something that they're going to use. I personally think that what we saw with the single player campaign, that's probably going to be 60 frames, and that's probably going to be 4K or up interlacing 4K, something like that. Who knows if it'll be native 4K? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because they even mentioned DLSS and machine learning on the PlayStation 5 as well, which is what I've been saying all along. If you're a fan of gaming, this is the best thing that you can get. Look, and they also mentioned the TV things. Like, I personally am picking up 2 TVs, and I know a lot of people might make fun of one of the TVs that I was going to get, but at the end of the day, I feel like I wanted to try it because it was the first ever THS certified gaming TV, so I thought that was cool. And also, like, one of them obviously was going to be the LG OLED, but then there was also the TCL new 6 series that actually supports 120 hertz at 1440p and has that certification. So that was something that I wanted to try, possibly for like the living room or something like that, and I just thought that would be something cool, because I do plan on possibly getting a Series X if they give me a reason, and a PlayStation 5, and I just thought it, kind of test them out and see what they are. Obviously the OLED would be for my room. That's where I do most of my gaming anyway, so I think that would be something that would look forward to as well. But again, very interesting, going back to the actual video, which I will link in the description as well. You guys can check it out, because they basically pretty much kind of confirm exactly what I've been talking about. Just once again, going back to the DLSS and stuff like that. If you didn't know what that is, basically it takes an image that's like, say, 1440p, and I've kind of covered this a little bit as well, and it makes that image look like a 4K image. And sometimes, like, even according to Digital Foundry, it can take that image and make it look even better than, like, say, a native 4K image, which I felt was pretty incredible as well. And so that's something that I feel like both Sony and Microsoft have the ability to do as well. And I just feel like, as far as next-gen gaming, I don't know what each individual person's idea is of what they expect from next generation. When we went into this generation, and so many people were talking about resolution and 1080p, like, I had no idea about, what 1080p really was, or if that would affect me. And it realistically, it didn't affect me, because I didn't really see a huge difference there between Xbox One games and PS4 games. And just like for me, for the most part, outside of, maybe a 10 or so games, I don't see a big difference between PS4 Pro and Xbox One X games. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 is like the glaring one that kind of sticks out as there being a big difference. But most of the games, the games that I played, the Titanfalls, the Call of Duties, those type of games, no difference. You can't tell a difference whatsoever. Battlefront 2, no difference. It's like, they look almost exactly the same. And so going into next generation, I expect a lot of that to still be the case with these consoles. And so realistically, I just feel like we can get more effects and more what they're talking about, like ambient occlusion and things like this. We can get more of these things, including with ray tracing, if we use the DLSS that these consoles have, or variants of, okay, which means a 1440p can look like a 4K image, but we're going to be able to get 60 frames, and we're going to be able to get less of a drag on the consoles themselves. It's not going to really bog down the console. So I do feel like that would be the smarter thing for these console companies to do, and the better result will be for us. Because if you look at what PC gamers game at, most of them don't game at native 4K. Most of them game at like 1440p. I feel like that's a sweet spot, because like I used to play Forza Horizon 4, you know, you could either play 1080p 60 or 4K 30. I'm one of the weird ones that play at 4K 30 because I thought the 1080p was a little bit too low resolution on a 4K set. But I feel like if you have 1440p, that's a really good sweet spot, especially with like stuff like DLSS, which they basically, you know, reconfirm in this. So I do find that to be really good news, and I think that Sony and Microsoft are on the right path with that. I think anybody that's still kind of hawking, you know, the whole native 4K stuff, realistically, there's better things to waste your time on, because I think that that's really just going to end up hurting your particular console if you're pushing native 4K all the time. So anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I really do appreciate anyone that takes the time out to check out one of my videos. It means the world to me. Please stay safe, happy, and healthy, and thank you so very much for your time. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Have a great day. Crapgamer, out.
Unscripted.